Photography Daily, the assignment.
It's assignment day, and we're very lucky to have Nick Brandt, my special guest, to set a unique photography challenge. And as you're about to find out, this one may well be a challenge on many levels, for its message, for its wider meaning, for perhaps some writing, for the fact that you have more than the usual week. Say no more, listen on, and you will hear what Nick Brandt, the internationally respected environmental photographer, has set in what I think will reveal some potent feelings and most probably personal ones at that. It's a challenge for everyone though, whatever kind of photography interests you, whatever camera you hold, film, larger format, DSLR, mirrorless, compact or smartphone, it's all about the picture you see. As always, there's a show page on the website photographydaily.show, and I'd love you to share the pictures with us that you make for this challenge, which I can then upload to the show page for this edition, and you can check back, of course, to see pictures from previous editions. And before we meet Nick, who guested before on episode 269, one titled Fighting for Our Planet, my thanks to our wonderful patrons and mpb.com who sponsor this show, the number one company in the UK, the US and Europe when it comes to buying, selling and trading used camera kit online, a safe place to do business with guarantees upon what you buy. And pertinently, today, and from my own knowledge of having visited their UK operation in Brighton, the circular economy is really important when it comes to a sustainable thinking about how you buy and sell. A look ahead to the photo walk this week, and it's certainly a different kind of walk on Friday, as I'm not on my own. I'm walking with the art director, the photographer, the writer, the curator, the publisher, the editor, the podcaster, Brandt Scott, who also, and more latterly, has been working with younger talent as a senior lecturer, mentoring and guiding students in photography. And one of the subjects we talk about is mental health.
And I've done a huge amount of research into anxiety-based depression, particularly amongst teenagers, to try and understand and try and be able to support and encourage people as much as possible. But I think in a way, from a photographic perspective, the key to it is don't put that pressure on yourself. And I think a lot of people put a lot of pressure on themselves. I always say with anxiety, go and buy me some. You can't. It doesn't exist. But of course, it exists. But anxiety is a self-made product. People make their own anxiety. You can't go and buy anxiety. So what about if you stop making it? Which is a very easy and glib thing to say and a very difficult thing in reality. But perhaps it can bring, photography can remove some of that.
Friday then, Brandt Scott is walking with me as we take a jaunt near his home in Gloucestershire. Let's meet our guest for today, setting you an assignment that will have you digging deep into a sense that we don't usually ask you to tap into for our challenges. This is Nick Brandt.
The assignment.
Many of our assignments have been week-long affairs, but we thought immediately, didn't we, when we were talking about this originally, that this was not going to be a week in the making, was it, as a photo assignment, Nick?
No.
And I don't think any of your work is ever really a week in the making.
Oh, God, no. No, many months of cogitation.
Yes, and years, I would say, and years.
And faltering and going down the wrong path, which is all part of the creative process.
Absolutely.
The mistakes you make along the way.
So, where do we start? This is your assignment week. You're setting the challenge. Over to you.
I think, the obvious thing coming from me, given the work that I do, would be to assign something related to the environment. But I'm not going to do that. My assignment is to photograph something about today's world, today's society, that you feel is going in the wrong direction and that you feel passionately about. It's a cause that you feel strongly about, but maybe has not yet manifested itself in your photography. This can relate to anything from social injustice to political injustice to indeed environmental concerns. So the point is that the subject should be about something that makes you angry about the way the world is going, and that you want to express your feelings about it. And even though it's your own feelings, you hope that your photographs will enlighten and educate just a little those who see them. And then that can help be part of a conversation towards change. But my feeling is that you've always got to take photographs for yourself, not be second guessing what others might find impactful. If you end up taking photos for others and it doesn't work, then you haven't even had a chance to at least attempt to satisfy yourself artistically. So obviously for me, my obsessions and passion and anger relate to the destruction of the natural world, the suffering imposed on innocence, both animal and human. But your passion and obsession for change may be in relation to something completely different. And you should focus on that. Any kind of social injustice, whether it's racism, political, whatever. And it's finding a way that you think expresses that. Now, as we just said, it's never easy to find a fresh new approach to a subject. I personally spend many, many months before I come up with a concept for each of my series. And I know, Neil, that's why you're talking about allowing a month for this, not just the usual week.
Absolutely.
And as you experiment with the assignment, you may find, oh, you know what, I've been too on the nose about a concept, I've been too literal or too obscure. And you go back and you think again and again. And like I said, I know that's what happens to me. The failures are part of the creative process. And as I've also said 1,000 times, and I probably said on the last podcast we did together, it's better to be angry and active rather than angry and passive. And so channel that anger into your creativity, into those photographs. And in the course of that process, you may find you've found your voice about something that means more to you than what you have done prior to that in your work.
Now, anger is something that has quite a negative connotation as a word. But I remember from our conversation quite clearly that you channel this anger, as you mentioned just a moment ago, for a very positive cause.
Yes, I don't see it as a negative thing at all. It is a motivator. It gives me energy and focus when I'm able to channel that anger into something creative and is therefore positive, because hopefully some, as I said, enlightenment, illumination, thus leading to change. I don't want to have delusions of grandeur. I just hope that the work is just part of a dialogue that grows about particular issues.
So when it comes to subject matter, and I'm being a little bit cautious here, Nick, because I know that if I suggest a campaign or something that somebody might say, oh, that's what I'll do. But litter is a good example, and I know from our conversations that single-use plastic is something that you're particularly anxious or angry about. Yeah,
I find the ongoing escalation of single-use plastic obscene. That we are talking about the vast amount of consumption of oil and energy to create these plastic bottles and containers that get used just the one time, that end up being thrown out, and maybe some of them end up being recycled, but a lot don't. So something like the planet-wide proliferation of plastic is, I think, an incredibly consequential issue. And just the fact that then those break down into microplastic particles that then have been found in every corner of the planet and even now found in the bloodstream of babies, etc. And what impact that may have on humans' health over the decades. And again, I just think it's like whatever you feel passionate about, that you feel there could be change towards cliche, corny, a better world, and concentrate on that, focus on that.
And just one last question as I get my head around what I might think. Is it a set of images, or are you looking at one image that says everything? Oh, God, it's so hard to do one image that says everything. If I think through the work that I've done, I can only think of one photograph I've ever taken that maybe, in terms of poaching, sums up in one hopefully powerful image the essence of it. But other than that, I personally find that series of images are necessary to convey the complexity and emotional depth of what you're addressing. And even then, one of the things I find a challenge is people kind of want the photograph to explain everything without any additional context of text. And I find that quite hard, because
I find that additional text gives more context and therefore emotional weight to the subject at hand. So I'm always grappling with, God, how much, in an ideal world, yes, the picture tells 1,000 words, cliche. But if additional text can add more emotional power to the photograph, then okay.
Well, this is this is an assignment. This is a challenge. It really is. And you've got a whole month to think about. Well, not think. You've got a whole month to do this. I guess good luck is all that remains to be said.
Yes, and follow your heart.
And channel your anger.
And channel your anger, yep.
And that is our challenge for the month ahead. I'll be delighted to see what you produce and would love to show them on today's corresponding show page on the website, photographydaily.show. Good luck. Music on the show is from artlist.io. Neil Ford, Emily Renier and Andrea Gilpin, thank you for your support work behind the scenes, and I look forward to photographing with you, hearing from you and talking with you on the photo wall.
The Assignment is a Loading Zone production.